All right, guys, in this video, we're going to break down the body triangle escape from the back, a position that feels often inescapable. We'll start by briefly addressing common offensive mistakes and then focus on two essential steps to escape. All right, so before we hop into the triangle escape, I want to talk about some mistakes I made as the offensive player here. So I like using myself as an example so you know I'm not just making this shit up. So I'm on his back, and you can see that I want to put my foot across the hip. But there's a moment there where I unlock my legs before my foot's completely across the hip, which allows him to bring his knee to his chest and prevent me from getting the body triangle. This is a really common mistake, and after watching this video a few years back, I rarely make that mistake again. I do recover by getting my hook back in when I see there's exposure between his knee and his chest to fit my foot in, but it wasn't enough to keep the connection. Another mistake I made was unlocking my hands too early, which allows him to start rotating and misaligning his back from my chest. So what's the lesson learned here? The lesson learned is if you don't have a body triangle, keep your hands connected to make sure you maintain that chest to back connection. And if they're misaligning their spine, refocus on getting your hands connected. I'll be using 4 examples of pros teaching body triangle escapes, and we will identify the key invariants. Those are the principles that hold true across all methods. That's all that invariance means. The first is separating the opponent's hands to prevent them from maintaining chest to back exposure. So basically this means to escape the body triangle, you may not need to unlock the hands, but you'll see here as Giancarlo Bodoni, multiple time ADCC champ, shows you the first step he takes in escaping the body triangle with this escape is unlocking the partner's hands. He also moved from a seatbelt to double unders. If you notice, he moved his partner's hands underneath both elbows, which I think also helps with rotation. Here's another escape he shows, and again, the first step is unlocking the hands. Once he unlocks their hands, something I think he does that a lot of us don't do is he keeps his hands on theirs. He's not looking to control their wrist. He's making sure he has his hands wrapped around their knuckles, preventing them from regaining control. The second is shifting our hip past the ankle of the exposed body triangle, achieved through leg scissoring or hand assistance. Let's dive in. Basically, every body triangle escape is always containing that movement of shifting their hips so they can get that exposed ankle between their legs. You just saw Sean Williams do it. Here you see Giancarlo Bodoni doing it again. And then here you'll see the great Gordon Ryan doing it again. If you notice, they all do this by scissoring their legs in one direction and then moving it back the other. This will create that ankle exposure. There's also this idea of using a hand assist. So Gordon Ryan here goes through a really long, boring explanation of how to do so, but he does this by placing a hand or an arm underneath his partner's knee. Right now you can see he can't get his leg or Bernardo's leg between his. So he places his arm underneath that knee as kind of a wedge so that when he starts going belly down, and you'll see this right now, you see him kind of turning his stomach and scissoring his legs towards the floor. When he scissors his legs back, he'll be able to get that ankle exposure. But really what's true here is getting that leg in between your legs. You can also do this by using the floor as a wedge and not just using your arm. Since this escape has come out, I think you see more of that happening versus people giving up an arm for defending the neck to control the knee. So here I am in EBI OT at the 155 Who's Number One qualifier. I have Eric Cruz on my back, and I just focus on fighting the hands. I just don't want to get choked, and then he locks on the body triangle. I think if I were to give myself feedback here, it would be to use my knees and legs to pummel my hips out from in between his knees more instead of just focusing on the neck. Because then I got myself in some trouble. He has the body triangle, which is a great position to control. So now I'm just focused on fighting this rear naked choke. If you can't, I know you can't see right now, but he has it fully locked in. So I'm just keeping my chin tucked, creating counter pressure by pulling down with both hands, pushing the elbow, and just trying to get to his hand. And thankfully, I was able to get his hands unlocked. And then if you see, my focus now is continuously fighting his hand away from my face. So he gets the other hand in. I move my hands to his, stay safe, chins down, making sure I'm not getting any pressure. And I just focus on that over and over again. So I'm not able to focus on the leg movements yet. But here in a moment, you're going to see that I focus on getting his hands separated. And now that they're separated, I can move it around my head, and I'll do that little scissoring motion to get his leg in between mine. Once you get past that body triangle, it's just about keeping their hands separated and rotating as quickly and as hard as you can. So here you'll see me rotate, 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 and finally I escape the position. Something that you will hear me say time and time again is that there is no perfect technique. Instead, focus on the tasks that make the technique possible. If you notice, my escape did not look exactly like the ones that were shown, but instead like a combination of all of them.